Classic movie fans, Rick9G here. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Three Stooges, more specifically about their 61st short. It's called Cactus Makes Perfect. Now, it came out in 1942, actually February 26, 1942, and I'll tell you all about it. If you're new to the channel and not aware, I'm cataloging every single Stooge short from the first all the way to 190, including all the Curly, all the Shemp, all the Curly Joe shorts, and currently I'm in number 61. I've done it for the longest time, and we're pushing through these. I focus on the bloopers, I focus on some of the cool facts about the episode. So if you are interested, there's a link in the description where you can see the ones before this. Again, there are 60 that you can watch and enjoy. So let's get to this one specifically. As I mentioned, it is the 61st short. Now, it was filmed in August 7th through the 11th of 1941. And if you noticed already, which I'm sure some of you have, the title Cactus Makes Perfect is a parody on the proverb practice makes perfect. Now, the running time in this short is 17 minutes and 18 seconds. Every single Stooge short is less than 19 minutes. I believe the longest is 19 or so minutes. But this is one that I want to highlight more because there's a lot of bloopers, not too many facts. But what I really want to hone in on is I don't believe this ever came out in syndication or reruns normally. This is one that I've never seen ever. I've never seen the short until I've looked at it to present it here. So I want to go through the summary in detail in case a lot of you haven't seen it, in case a lot of you are just people who watch in reruns. So the film opens with the Stooges' mother, believe it or not. She was played by a male actor. His name was Monty Collins. Now, we'll go into it a little bit. Why did they use a male actor and not just a female actor to play the Stooges' mother? Well, you have to think, it's 1940s and it's very practical. This is a time where, right, it was early movies, shorts, and essentially a lot of the great actors of this time were their own stuntmen. Yes, the Stooges, because they were important, they didn't want them to get hurt. They would have stunt doubles for some things. Sometimes they would get hurt. But someone like this, like Monty Collins, they were actors who were speaking role actors, but they were also stuntmen. And so instead of doing all these falls, which you can see he does here in the short, they put a man in the position just to make it easier. Now, the character of the mother, played by Monty, is attempting to wake up her three sons, but no success, saying, "Get out of your bed, you lazy loafers." She screamed, and they still didn't get up. Then she yanks a rope, which leads from the kitchen to the bed, where the trio is sleeping soundly. This causes the bed to spin horizontally until they fly off of it. Now, the main portion of this short, or at least the first third, starts with Curly receiving a letter from an association called the Inventors Association, and he submits an invention that they call incomprehensible and utterly impractical. But the Stooges, being the Stooges, of course, they think that means they won, and they did so well. They misinterpret it, of course. So they leave their mother's home and they head out to make their fortune. Now, during this time, they are swindled into buying a map leading to a lost mine in the Old West. Now, finding the lost mine, the Stooges run afoul on two down-on-their-luck prospectors. Now, these prospectors are played by Vernon Dent. He's a man who appears in many Stooge shorts. I've covered him before. I would even say he's one of the unofficial Stooges, along with Bud Jameson and Emil Sitka. The other of these prospectors is Ernie Addams. Now, after Curry fires an arrow from his gold collar retriever into the mine shaft, he falls in. Now, these two prospectors, they try to rob the boys out of their money. Mo and Larry flee to an abandoned hotel where Curly hid the gold in a safe. And he says, "It's safe in the safe." Now the miners show up and they take their refuge in this safe room. Fortunately, the miners drill through the door, which Curly says, "Well, that's termites," and throws a stick of dynamite in. After a little back and forth, the stick fizzles out. Believing it to be a dud, the boys burst out laughing, and Curly chuckles as the dynamite explodes and pushes them through another side of the wall, or the other side of the wall. It's a really funny short. If you haven't seen it, let me know in the comments down below. But let's get to some of these awesome and fun bloopers. Now, rear screen projection was a common effect used during this time, and at the beginning of the short, when the boys are running into the street, you can see the bottom of the screen where the traffic is being projected on. There's even a little chicken that walks in front of the lower right-hand corner. You're not supposed to see that bottom portion of the screen. Of course, it's just supposed to look like a street and the truck that stops right in front of them, but it is definitely visible. I'll be jumping around here and there, but at the point where Mo ended up breaking the ladder when they go into the mine shaft, now he fell down, and as he's falling down, all the rungs on the ladder break. But they never explained how they were able to get all the gold and bring it up the ladder, at least up the hole, when the ladder is broken. I mean, maybe there was a spare ladder down there, or maybe Curly built one in a flash. Now check out when Curly tries his invention and he's flying through the air. You can actually see the wires that is holding him up. That's how they did this effect, and it's funny to look at, but if you look closely you can see those wires. Now I wonder why they didn't put this in the rerun. Sometimes they're deemed as too violent for TV, but I mean, that's surprising. The Stooges didn't even have blood in their shorts. But in this one, Mo and Larry are trying to pry Curly's head out of the mine shaft. And if you look closely, you will see that the crowbar is a prop. It is fake, it's rubber, and it bends when it comes around Curly's face. It's kind of funny to see a bendy crowbar. Now check out this moment where Curly says this line. He says, "What's all that fuss about?" Now if you look in the back, you will see that Larry Fine is seen laughing, and they immediately cut so that we wouldn't notice his expression. Now continuing on, we see Curly and Vernon Dent. The Vernon Dent character is named Red. So Curly eye pokes Red, and he actually hits his hat and not his eyes. So that would definitely be a blooper, but hey, maybe he hit him really hard in the forehead and that was enough to knock him over. Now this is a really good one with Vernon Dent and Stumpy and Red as they're chasing after the Stooges. You see the actor who's playing Stumpy, played by Ernie Addams, he trips over and falls off screen. There's a bag there and he trips over that bag. That was not supposed to happen, but they left it in there for us to pick it out in 2022, I guess. Now check out the scene where Curly launches his invention, the arrow. It hits Vernon Dent, or Red, in the behind. We can actually see the visible padding that is used on the back of his pants to protect him so that the arrow would land in its place, but it wouldn't hurt his backside. And this last one that I have for you is great. Curly mentions that he put the gold in the safe. Now what's unusual about that is that it takes some time for them to eventually get into the safe again, but why would there be cobwebs that are before or in front of the entrance to the safe? I mean, if Curly would have put the gold in there already, how did the cobwebs get up there so quickly? I mean, it only took them about a minute or so to get back up there. Well, that's it for this video. If you want to see more, again, every short that I cover is different. Sometimes there's very few bloopers, sometimes there's so many facts, or sometimes there's a balance. So every video is different, and there's really cool facts about productions, actors, people who passed away after certain shorts and so forth. And so make sure to watch every single one because there's surprises there. There are even some uncensored Stooge shorts that are not even allowed to be played on TV. I will cover those, and I have covered some of those moments before. So don't miss out on those Stooge shorts that I've done previously if you haven't checked them out. We'll see you next time. Remember, the link is in the description of this video. We'll see you next time, and don't forget, be hopeful. Thank you so much to my supporters on Patreon, especially my Diamond tier patrons. New patron Gerard D, David D, Citizen Kane 359, Greg S, Kevin K, Ricky, Sally, and Vito L. Make sure to check the links in the description to see how you could be on this list as well.